Yeah.
Doug, we're okay, we're recording, okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the 23rd meeting of the Honolulu Liquor Commission. We're gonna move directly into the public hearings, calling agenda item number 1, transfer application number 22-24703 from Chubby's Burgers LLC. Mr. Luke.
Yes, good afternoon. It is Jeffrey Nadry. He is a member and sole owner. He is present with Counsel Wayne Luke. We have no additions or changes to the investigators.
Thank you. Ms. Harai.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. This application has received 0 written protests, 0 letters in support. Applicant has met statutory requirements for the submission of this application. And for the record, a summary of the December 15th preliminary hearing testimony was provided to Chairman and Commissioner Hollinger prior to the public hearing.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions or type of action?
Motion to approve transfer application number 22-24703. Second.
Then moved and seconded to approve transfer application number 22-24703. Any objections or reservations? Hearing or seeing none, I vote aye. Motion is carried. Application is approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I will note for the record and for the public that Commissioner Buckley has lost his voice. So if he objects, he will be indicating by raising his hand to me. If he does not object, I will assume that his vote is aye. Calling agenda item number 2, application number 22-24431 from Bamboo Catering Inc. Mr. Webb.
Yes. Good afternoon.
I'm
Chair.
sorry, Mr. Nishioka. No, you guys are both here today.
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the Commission. Happy New Year, by the way. Greg Nishioka, authorized agent, appearing on behalf of the applicant. To my right is David Weber, W-E-B-E-R, representing W-E-B-B. Oh, double B. I'm sorry, E-R, representing the applicant. We have no changes and or additions to the investigator's report.
Okay. Then at the Japanese Cultural Center, correct?
Yes.
You folks have been doing well there, I see.
It's been quite busy. We were very fortunate. Very happy.
It's a really great space. All right, commissioners.
Oh, can I go ahead and get something into the
Oh, I'm
record?
sorry. Yes, public hearing. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Wright.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. This application has received 0 written protests, 0 letters in support. Applicants met statutory requirements for the submission of this application.
Thank you. Commissioners,
Motion to approve application number 22-24431. Second.
been moved and seconded to approve application number 22-24431. Any objections or reservations? Hearing or seeing none, I also vote aye. Motion is carried. Application is approved. Thank you.
Thank you very
One
much.
correction is David Webb.
Yes,
W-E-B.
I know him.
That's not for the record, because I said W-E-B-B-E-R.
We know.
Just trying to be precise.
Correct.
Thank you, everybody.
Nice. Calling agenda item number 3, application number 22-24496 from Namikaze LLC. Mr. Kota.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the Commission. Neil Gota, appearing on behalf of Namikaze LLC. Appearing with me is Brandon Nakachi, manager. We have no changes to the investigative report. For the record, applicant has been operating on a temporary license with no problems.
Thank you. Ms. Wright.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. This application has received 0 written protests, 0 letters in support. Applicant has met statutory requirements for the submission of this application.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions or type of action for the applicant?
Motion to approve application number 22-24496. Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve application number 22-24496. Any objections or reservations? Hearing or seeing none, I also vote aye. Motion is carried. Application is approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Calling agenda item number 4, application number 22-25013 from CIAB LLC DBA Old Town Pizzeria and Tap House. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Pablo from Old Town Pizzeria and Tap House. I believe we have met all the criteria for the issuance of a license.
Mr. Wright.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. This application has received 0 written protests, 2 letters in support. Applicant has met statutory requirements for the submission of this application.
And I see that we have someone here who would like to testify on this agenda item. Is Jean Ishikawa here? Hi, ma'am, come forward, please, and Mr. Wright, I swear you in.
You swear that the testimony given today's hearing will be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Ms. Ishikawa, before you begin, we do have your letter of December 31.
Okay. Thank you. I have the original, if you need the original.
We don't. need that.
Okay. Aloha, Chair and Commission members. I'm Jeannie Ishikawa, the Chair of the Wahiawa Whitmore Village Neighborhood Board, number 26. I've come in the past before this board, and those past instances were very different situation. You know, it was businesses that wanted to come into our community that really couldn't explain why they were coming into our community. And it was all about, you know, selling liquor, you know, getting a permit to sell, whether it was a market, a store, or whether it was a bar. So in those instances, our board expressed concerns each time because, you know, when you have 6 or 7 people coming to your neighborhood board to get a letter of support and it's all about selling liquor, we were concerned. So in this case, it was important for me as our board chair to be here to express our full support of this application because the presentation to our board was very open and very detailed, was very accessible. Any questions we had, we could, you know, he addressed it to our board. We were able to see the facility and the changes being made. And it was very positive and it was very family atmosphere. So it will, I think, draw a different crowd and an atmosphere where families can meet to have pizza and soda or something else if you're an adult. But it was a very different presentation that we welcomed for our community. Thank you.
Thank you for coming down and thank you folks for being so involved in the process. You know, we send notices to all neighborhood boards, but not all of them were as responsive or as involved as you folks. And that's a testament to you, Mr. Lo, for doing some outreach. So good job.
Thank you.
All right, commissioners, do you have any questions for the testifier? Thank you very much,
Thank you
Ms.
very much.
Ishikawa. Is there anyone else that would like to testify for or against this application? Do you have anyone else? Right, commissioners, you have any questions or type of action?
Motion to approve application number 22-25013. Second.
Then moved and seconded to approve application number 22-25013. Any objections or reservations? Hearing or seeing none, I also vote aye. Motion is carried. Application is approved. Good luck, Mr. Long. Moving into the preliminary hearings, calling agenda item number 5, application number 2-24116 from MPK4 LLC.
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the Commission, Mr. Rai Robert Uyok on behalf of MPK4 LLC. I expect the request to proceed without my client. She is on extended vacation and she asked if we could proceed today. Without her being present.
You're her representative, so I don't see any problem with that.
Thank you. We have no changes to the investigators report. There was an issue regarding the pool. Want to assure the commission that the pool only be used if the landlord outrigger gets a special liquor license. So that it only applies if the landlord gets a special liquor license. Other than that, it's going to be used by the licensee.
Thank you. Commissioners.
So, Mr. Sorry, excuse me. So the yellow portion, that's just going to be the kitchen. Based off
Yellow
of
the kitchen, yes. We
And
just
then-
wanted a special floor plan for the kitchen, so
Okay.
that's the kitchen area.
And then when you look at the floor plan for the pool, is it just specifically the pool area you're looking to license, or is the whole lobby area?
It's not the lobby area, it's just that part that's outlined in red. You can see it in exhibit A. It's kind of like a kind of light outline, but it's that whole area, the pool area, not the lobby area.
It does not have colors.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, shucks. The-
Mine does.
I got it from the board packet and it was colored.
Mine does. Yeah.
It includes the
Sorry,
water.
Sorry,
the
I was
water-
like, I can't, there you go, the one in the schematic does not, okay.
Sorry. I
see
got it
now.
straight from the board packet, yes,
That's
and it
fine.
is
And this
colored.
is at the outrigger reef, right?
Outrigger
The lobby
Reef,
area.
correct.
Oh, I'm familiar with the area.
Okay. My motion is to approve application number 22-24116. Second.
Then moved and seconded to approve application number 22-24116. Any objections or reservations? Hearing or seeing none, I also vote aye. Motion is carried. Application is approved.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Calling agenda item number 6, application number 22-24631 from HSI Honolulu Joint Venture Company, DBA Mauka Marketplace. Mr. Uyoka again.
Robert Uyoka on behalf of HMS Holtz, present to my right, Mr. Christopher Kadohiro, Senior Director of Operations at HMS Holtz. First name CHRISTOPHER, last name KADOHIRO. We have no changes to investigators report. This is for the restaurant in the new Mauka Concourse in Honolulu International Airport, which currently has flights from Hawaiian Airlines from the mainland.
This is the enclosed space. Yeah, this is one of the satellite areas.
Correct, this is an enclosed space.
Commissioners.
Mr. Yoka, this space is pretty big, huh?
It's a pretty big
Compared
space,
to like some of the other ones that are out there with
Yeah,
the airport, correct?
4,200 square feet. Yes, it's gonna have some retail as well, but primarily a restaurant.
We're gonna have enough guys ready to watch.
Yes, a
Make sure
retail,
we don't have people are passing, right?
yes, I just want to clarify retail, no retail liquor, just
Fine.
retail sundries and things, but it's gonna be a restaurant.
Gotcha. Motion to approve application number 22-24631. Second.
Then moved and seconded to approve application number 22-24631. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, I also vote aye. Motion is carried. Application is approved.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling agenda item number 7, application number 22-24779 from Imua Honolulu LLC, DBA Uproll Cafe. Ms. Cole.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the commission, Naomi Cole, on behalf of the applicant, present to my right is owner Miss Aya Maniwa. We have no changes to the investigative report.
Thank you. Commissioners.
So. Ms. Cole, based on the floor plan, you have the outside dining area listed and also as part of the licensed area. How do you look to, Jacob, what's gonna be there to make sure we keep things within that defined area?
There's gonna be a dedicated server there in the defined area, the outside space. There's also a border which will be placed around the area as well, so that people can't come in and out of that area. There'll be like a little planter.
Okay. How many tables do you think you're looking to put in that space? Do you have an idea?
That's
Two, okay. Thank you. Motion to approve application number 22-24779.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve application number 22-24779. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, I also vote aye. Motion is carried. Application is approved.
Thank you.
Calling agenda item number 8, application number 22-24912 from the Punt Wine Provisions LLC.
Hi, I'm Morgan Scott, MORGANSCOTT, and I'm the owner. Is there any questions you guys have?
Okay, thank you. I'm unfamiliar with this location. Is it inside a retail space?
So I'm in Ho'opili, which is the new development out in Kapolei Eva area right over by the Croc Center. And my home was built as a flex unit. So downstairs was built for commercial use and upstairs is for residential. So up until now, we've been using it as just a second living space. But with my experience in the wine industry, and I've been home with my son for the last 5 years, I'm ready to go back to work and use the space for what it was intended and serve my community.
Okay, so you're looking to license just the ground floor of your
Correct.
residential space?
Yeah, and actually only about half of the ground floor. So my husband is an architect and works at home. So his part of the downstairs, his office will stay unlicensed. And basically it's just going to be the front living area, which should be highlighted in red. For you guys, it will be licensed for shelving and a little bit of storage.
So, why don't you give me why don't you walk me through like your business concept? Because this is very new, I don't think we've done this before. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
why don't you walk me through your business concept?
Yeah, so again, zoned for commercial use. So my plan is to open just a really small retail shop that mostly just serves my immediate community, which is growing very rapidly. And my idea is that I would like my neighbors to be able to ride their bikes, walk to their local wine and craft beer shop. So just a small retail location. No open bottles, no pouring, just kind of in and out service with a personal touch because of my experience in the industry. I have a lot of knowledge and love to share it with people. And the idea is also that we are going to build sort of a separating wall that will separate sort of the living area and the shop area. So part of that license space will be walled off for the time being. So we can have a little bit of storage just for a minimal amount of backup. And also to possibly extend the space one day if necessary.
And the only entrance into the space, it will be via this space?
Correct. Yeah. So we actually have 3 entrances to our home, one in back, which is walled off with a 6-foot fence. And we can lock that or leave it unlocked if that's necessary. So then the entrance to our home and the entrance to the business are 2 separate entrances. So we will put a little chain saying private residence on the stairs leading up to our home. And then it'll be very obvious which entrance is for the store with, vinyl decal.
But your husband's office and your husband will be sharing the same entrance as this proposed retail space?
No, actually not necessarily. We have a back entrance to the house as well. So out inside of the gate, we have a back door.
Mhm.
So he will not be using the entrance to the,
So he can access his office via the back entrance rather than through this space.
he can. So that was sort of a question. I mean, we're happy to comply with whatever works for you guys. You know, he can go downstairs and then go around back every morning to go to his office. That is totally doable, and that's what we have entrances and stuff for. I mean, in an ideal world, we would love for him to be able to just walk down our stairs around the corner and into his office, but if we can't do it that way, that is fine.
Well, you know, like I said, this is a new concept.
Yes,
Our rules and laws are built around not this type of concept.
right.
And so this, if we decide to grant a license, you would need to abide by all the same rules and all the same laws
Sure.
as the other licensees in this category and class of license.
Yeah,
That includes anyone on the premises. So the licensed premises will be controlled and enforced by the liquor commission. So, you know, is your husband going to be an employee or is he going to be a customer?
no, we're
So
actually not
exactly,
gonna
so
be
why
either.
is he in the space? So that's the issue. If he's gonna be in the space, he needs to be either a customer
Mhm.
or an employee.
So what if we were to move the license space so that it includes the hallway passage for my husband to come down the stairs from the
It's
inside?
not our role to advise you, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
sorry.
it's our role to either, you know, approve or deny this application
Yeah,
as it is submitted on the
okay,
agenda. So I'm just letting you know that, you know, even though this is a new concept, it doesn't mean that you have special rules or laws that we can
Sure.
make for you.
and that's fine. My
Okay.
husband is very easily able to walk down the stairs, out our front door, and then around the back in the morning, and then to come in without entering the license space at all. It's less convenient, but it doesn't matter. He can totally do it. He's very able.
I have a similar but slightly different concern. Do you expect to host friends and family to consume alcohol in the licensed premises?
Not anymore, no.
Okay.
So right now it is currently just a living room with a Christmas tree and everything, but once it is licensed, we're very clear on the fact that nobody will be drinking in that area, period.
And what is the name of your condominium association?
I'm in the Haloa neighborhood of Ho'opili.
Okay, I'm generally familiar with this mixed use concept, not necessarily your association, but have you checked the governing documents to confirm that alcohol sales can be conducted in the commercial space?
I have, and I've actually been speaking with Hawaiiana, my management company. Yeah, right. I've actually spoken to them a lot and they're excited about this prospect. We've looked through the documents and there's nothing saying that we cannot do
Very
this.
good. Glad you did your homework.
Yes. I know it's a weird concept, but
Let's say different.
Yeah,
yes.
different.
I'm good with that.
I mean, one of the questions I have is I know that you had listed a certain specific time you're looking to. But then you also had stated that you might be willing to like go out of that time limit or time periods if people called you or texted you. I think one of the things I would suggest is determine the times you're going to be open and the times you're going to be closed. And put that there because we want to be able to know that when the license space comes up,
Mhm.
that's the time people will be in there to pick up or sell stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And the idea there is that, again, I've been staying at home with my son for the last 5 years, and there'll be some growing pains within the house and trying to figure out how this is going to work. So my idea was to be open from 2 to 6 sort of limited hours, but if my neighbors messaged me on Facebook, you know, between let's say noon and 8. And if I'm free and if I want to, I can go downstairs and sell them something and that wouldn't be a problem. But again, if that is against any law, I'm happy to comply.
I mean, I think the law space talks about a specific time frame where you can open and close, right?
Yes,
So when you put your application in, you're gonna say a time you're gonna be open and a time you're going to be closed.
yes.
If an investigator comes in
Mhm.
and sees you selling something prior to that time limit that you put there, that could be a violation.
Right,
And so all I'm stating is when you put your times that you're gonna be open,
yes.
I'd make sure it's whatever times you're gonna either accept people to tell you you can or cannot.
Okay,
Okay?
yeah, I can do that.
Then obviously, I think the other commissioners have raised the things about the licensing space. I mean, that's license the space you need for your stuff. And If
Yes,
you gotta change it where your husband can walk you there, then change the definition of what the space is.
yeah.
But
I
work
mean,
with our people here.
absolutely. I'm happy to work with you guys and make it work for everybody and not break any laws. My dad is a judge, so he wouldn't appreciate it.
My motion will be to approve application number 222-24912.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve application number 22-24912. Any objections or reservations?
Chair, for the record, I'm gonna vote aye with the
Thank you. That's so noted, Commissioner Miyashiro. I also vote aye. Motion is carried. Application is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving into temporary license applications, calling agenda item number 9, application number 23-01091 from Island Distributing LLC.
Madam Chair, I must recuse for potential conflict.
Thank you, Commissioner Buckley.
The record should reflect Chair Buckley recused in case it didn't pick up on the recording.
Thank you, Mr. Gota.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the commission. Neil Gota, appearing on behalf of Island Distributing LLC. Appearing with me is Mr. John Erickson, the general manager. We have no changes to the investigative report. This is for a temporary application in conjunction with the transfer of the Paradise Beverage wholesale liquor license. I do have a request that if the commission is inclined to approve this, that the effective date of the temporary license be January 13th, 2023.
Commissioners, any other questions or type of action?
Motion to approve application number 23-01091.
And the effective date.
Oh. My motion is to approve application number 23-01091 with the effective date of January 13th, 2023. 2023.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve application number 23-01091 with the effective date of January 13th, 2023. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, I also vote aye. Motion is carried. Application is approved.
Thank you very
Mr.
much.
Gota. Moving to requests, calling agenda item number 10, request number 22-24540 from TLLC LLC DBA Misty One.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commission members. Kenneth Worker for the licensee. To my right is Chien Chien Winter, Winter. She is a member of the licensee. No changes to the investigative report.
Thank you. Commissioners,
Motion to approve request number 22-24540.
Second.
been moved and seconded to approve request number 22-24540. Any objections or reservations? Hearing or seeing none, I also vote aye. Motion is carried. Request is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Calling agenda item number 11, request number 23-01257 from Genius Lounge Inc., DBA Genius Lounge. Ms. Cole.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the commission, Naomi Cole, on behalf of Genius Lounge. Present to my right is authorized agent Ms. Ikuyo, spelled IKUYO, Kondo, spelled KONDO. We reviewed the investigative report, just a typo, just the headings have permanent extension, but it should be permanent reduction. The substance is all correct.
Okay, thank you. And this is to remove the first floor, correct?
Remove the first and second floor, so it's just contained just to the third floor.
Okay. Commissioners,
So floor plans, I'm just looking at them, so A. You have a B. So you're looking at maintaining the license space only in C.
That's correct.
Okay.
A is the existing and then B is the deletion and C would be the going forward if approved.
Motion to approve request number 23-01257.
Second.
Then moved and seconded to approve request number 23-01257. Any objections or reservations? Hearing or seeing none, I also vote aye. Request is approved. Thank you very much. Agenda item number 12, request number 23-01285 from Food Pantry Limited DBA Pico Kitchen and Bar Restaurant.
Chair, before council makes an appearance, I'm gonna have to recuse the
Thank you, Commissioner Miyashiro. That's so noted. Uyoka.
Robert Wheelco on behalf of Food Pantry, present to my right, Ms. Haley Berkey. He's Assistant Manager, first name Hailey, last name Berkey. This is a request for approval of a batch preparation of cocktails for the new Pico Kitchen and Bar at the Leo Waikiki on Kuhio.
This is coming along quickly, yeah?
January 11th, very excited.
Wow, okay. Been waiting for this for a while. Okay. And you provided a list, I believe, of the cocktails you're requesting?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. It's 4 cocktails
Okay,
in my December 23rd submission.
got it. Have it here. Thank you for listing all of the preparation, storage, and disposal procedures right here on the application. I appreciate it. Yeah, Commissioners?
So, couple quick questions, Mr. Yoka.
Yes.
So I know you have the list of 3 days. I mean, again, let's make sure we check in the second day or so, make sure the juices are not turning, right? Because we don't want to be serving customers any kind of bad things.
Absolutely, yes.
Second question I have is, my understanding is off the report, these things will be putting granita machines to made hard or like slushies.
Yes, just the first one, the light
Okay.
cheap rose.
So the lychee one, so I know on the other ones you have the, how you're gonna get rid of the batch. You guys gonna be cleaning the machine daily? And then whatever's left over is gonna be disposed of, correct? It's not gonna be added to the batch to be reused the next day.
No, definitely not. We will clean the machine, yes, and not reuse material. for sure.
Okay. Motion to approve request number 23-01285.
Second.
Then moved and seconded to approve request number 23-01285. Any objections or reservations? Hearing or seeing none, I also vote aye. Request is approved. Thank
Thank
you.
you so
Good
much.
luck.
Thank you.
Moving on to other business, calling agenda item number 13, request number 23-01226 from AO Governor Cleghorn. Ms. Bouvier?
And note I'll be abstaining from this vote since I wasn't here. for the-
Okay, that's so noted. Good afternoon, ladies.
Good afternoon. And it's Denise Boisvert, DENISE, BOISDERT.
Pamela Walker, PAMELAWALKER.
Thank you. Well, we received your written requests. If you folks would like to make a statement, then go ahead.
I think everything is in our press. I think it's all pretty legitimate. A lot of you are lawyers. We're not. You know the HRS statutes, a lot better than we do. And I think that there were some that were violated during the course of this application. Our rights were denied on when there were 60 testimonies and petitions that were never put in your board packet on August 25th. I mean, between August 25th and September 22nd, there were about 60 more petitions and signatures that did not show up in your board packet for September 22nd. And they almost didn't show up on September 29th until the very 11th hour. It's also information brought up at the closed hearing on September 29th that we couldn't address. Our community, I just sat here watching all of your hearing. How many protests did you have today? How many do you have ever? We have over 200 people who live in our community, and that's just a few hours of standing on our sidewalk a few days a week. Our community does not need a bar. We don't want a bar. We want a UPS store or something that would benefit us. But, you know, and the excuse that you gave about the administration wanting to jumpstart the economy, and that's why you approved a tiny bar with 42 seats, like that's going to cure the economy. I mean, it's just beyond belief that that small little bar is so important. When I read the papers and I happen to see that this administration is very concerned about housing. And that building took out several apartments on the first floor to do commercial. So we're concerned. We are astonished that all of our support, our elected officials, ask you to consider the residents and the community and support us. And I'll tell you, let me just tell you this. When I walk around my neighborhood and people recognize me and say, hey, what happened with that bar? You know, and I tell them that, oh, they approved it. You know what they say? They say you guys are corrupt. They say you probably got all your Manipur boxes delivered to you. I mean, the public trust.
Please.
No, I'm just saying the
No,
public
I do not
trust.
appreciate being
No,
accused
I'm
of
saying
corruption.
what
No, I'm
other
sorry,
people
stop.
have been telling me.
People can say what they want,
They
but
can.
corruption is a very serious accusation.
This is.
We are a volunteer board, and I
Exactly.
take accusations of corruption very seriously, and I do not appreciate it.
As you know, there's a resolution at City Hall about public trust. This is what's out there. I'm telling you what my community
Just because you don't
thinks.
like a decision does not make it corrupt. And that's all I am going to
But I
say
think
about
you-
that, and I would appreciate you not making accusation at
I
this time.
think you should know what people are saying.
I know what other people are saying as well. Not just the people in your neighborhood and not just the people you talk to. And I'm sorry, but I do not appreciate being accused of corruption. I am
I'm
not
not
a corrupt
accusing
person.
you
I am a
of
volunteer. I
corruption.
have volunteered here for many years, and I do not appreciate that.
I don't appreciate our voices suppressed. With
Your
our
voices are being
testimonies.
heard. They were heard at the previous hearing and they're being heard now. Commissioners, you have any questions?
Before, I do have questions. It looks like Mr. Nishioka wants to make an appearance, or do you wanna? Can you make a
sorry.
representation as well?
Yes, sorry, Chair, Risk Commission, I was just sitting in the gallery and Greg Nishioka, we were the, Mr. Shinsan and myself were authorized representatives for agents. You know, a couple of things, we didn't get any notice of this hearing today. We found out, actually, I found out this morning by looking over the agenda, for item number 2, that this was on the agenda, and I was very shocked. I did advise Dr. Young, and he's quite upset about the whole matter of not receiving any notice. But I do think, in my opinion, I think anything that has been said is totally not germane to the issue at hand. I will say that the commission took the unusual step in continuing the public hearing several times to allow additional protests to come in. And that was a very unusual step, in my opinion, from what I've seen. And I think the commission took every possible step and chance to let opposition be heard. And folks made your decision based upon what was correct. That's all I'll say. I don't know what to say other than, because I haven't seen what they've written, honestly, and I apologize to folks.
Can I put something on the record here?
Yes, please.
We specifically scheduled the request for rehearing for the January 5th meeting because we needed to have a meeting where we had a full commission. When the notice of hearing, because the request was made the early part, I believe, of December of last year. We specifically CC'd the applicant's company with respect to this notice. So we made an effort to provide notice of this hearing to Nokoe Liquor Licensing.
Thank you for that. I do have a comment for the applicant or the parties requesting reconsideration. In the December 13th submission to the commission, there is a couple of statements indicating that I did not read certain testimony before decision was made. I'll say two things. One, I was not here when this commission made the final decision.
Right.
Having said that, I did read all the submissions. I also mentioned in one of the public hearings that I was personally going to go out and do a site inspection, and I did. I walked the neighborhood. I parking, but I walked the neighborhood. And if I was there at the September hearing, I would have approved it as well.
Basically, all of the protests, a couple hundred easily, it doesn't matter. The fact that the community doesn't want it.
And we're not here to answer your question. You're here to persuade us why we should reconsider our decision-making. We use our best judgment as a collective body. We do weigh all of the information before us, including protests, testimony, and investigative report and so forth. And it's a decision-making process. It's our best judgment. That's all I can tell you. I'm not going to answer your question.
Well, it just seems that it's completely ignoring the entire community that doesn't want a bar there, right next to a residential building with families in it.
I would like to say one thing. As a brand new commissioner coming in November, which is why I didn't want to weigh in. Certainly, I think the criticism that, you know, the way that we provide notice may be hard to, you know, obtain that information sometimes. We're having a hearing today that I'll be commenting on. But I have been very impressed with the fellow commissioners that I've been working with who have, I'm not a lawyer either. And so, you know, I'm learning through this, but, you know, they all take the time to really kind of look through this and try to do what is in their best judgment. I would also take offense at the implications of corruption because if I saw it, I would say it, and I haven't seen it. But you don't know me.
Exactly. You just don't know, but just the optics are really bad with this application, with our city council, our state reps, our Waikiki neighborhood board. I mean, we have a lot of support. And you don't get many other protests. So it's like you're completely ignoring the fact that the community doesn't want this bar next to it.
I am not completely ignoring anything. You folks are one building, one AOL in a pretty compact and heavily populated area. 200 people is not the entire community of Waikiki. There is a statutory threshold, I believe. I'm sorry, you can correct me if I'm wrong, please, Ms. Harai. Is it 30%? 35%?
50% plus one.
50%
Mandatory.
plus one. So if 50% plus one of the notified residents in your area sent in a protest, our hands would be tied and we would automatically deny it. That is not the case here. It has not even gone to the threshold of 10%. So to represent the 200 people in one building is the entire community. That's what you are representing.
No.
200 people, correct? 200 people?
No, 200 people submitted testimony.
Okay, so that's what we look at. We cannot assume what everybody thinks. If they do not send in a protest or come in and protest, we don't make an assumption as to what they think. So yes, we are paying attention and we are taking it seriously, but to represent that the entire community of Waikiki does not want this bar is
our
incorrect.
community on Kaiulani Avenue, Tusitala, And Clay
And that
Hall.
is not the entire community. That is your neighborhood. And I
It's our
understand and I'm
neighborhood,
listening
yes.
to the neighborhood. You are correct. This is a very small bar. So the impact will be proportionate. It's small. It's not a huge,
unnecessary.
it's not a huge bar. It's not a huge liquor
And
store.
it's going to be
not a
right
huge.
below people's bedrooms.
I understand that. This is a mixed commercial zone area. Commercial activity is encouraged in the Waikiki area,
I read a statute that said that you can use your discretion.
and we have,
You don't have
and you don't
to
agree with it, but
approve
that does not
everything
make
if
it
doesn't
corrupt,
get
ma'am.
50%.
Just because you do not agree with our decisions does not make them corrupt. Thank you.
So my comment will be, I made the motion to approve the application with certain restrictions, which most of your bars anywhere else or restaurants within your area don't have. And we've also put a 6-month trial period on that license. So if there is issues, concerns within that 6 months, we're gonna hear about it again. We're gonna have investigators out there looking to confirm whether or not they're following the rules, following the laws, doing the things that need to be done to operate a business there. But there's numerous businesses within your district that do the same thing within your area. I mean, it's maybe not a bar. Hyatt Steakhouse has a bar. Are they not a block over from you folks?
They exit onto Kuhio.
I'm asking, are they not in the area?
Exit
They
to
are,
the
correct?
community.
I understand. It's on the same street that your building is either across from or close to. So we read all of these things, we take into consideration people's concerns and what they're saying, but we also look at whether or not giving a business an opportunity to prove whether they can or cannot do the job that we're giving them the right to do by selling alcohol or not selling alcohol, gives them the opportunity to show whether it is or it isn't what works for that area. Now, if they're obviously right, there's tons of complaints, investigators will be there constantly, right?
Well, it would save them money that not having to build, turn
But
it back
then-
into housing.
Understood, but the other thing is you mentioned in many of your folks protests, we wanted another type of business. I didn't see any of you finding another business to take over that job, that spot that guy got.
I proposed many.
But did that owner of that business come there and say, I'll do this for this lease, or I'll take that lease, or any of that stuff? Because I don't know many businesses. I don't know many people that want to start businesses currently right now in this type of era, but I'm also not an attorney. So I read through the statutes just as much as you do to try to confirm whether or not my motions or what I say should be approved or not approved is based off the best I can read through that statute. My question I also have for you folks is you said you had, how many people did you have sign in Cleghorn, Governor Cleghorn?
Of the owners, over 50%.
Over 50%.
And residents, like tenants, we had a few dozen.
Okay.
And then people on the street,
I'm
across
not
the
asking
street.
about the street. I'm talking about your resident because you're the AOA for that residence, correct?
Right,
Okay. So my next question then is out of all of the 50% of the owners, do all 50% live in the building?
not all, no, but they have tenants.
What is,
who-
I understand they have tenants, but their tenants didn't write me a letter.
Many of the tenants did.
Those that did, I read. Even the people that are the AOA, I read. But my concern is if you're an owner that doesn't live in that area, you're objecting to something. Also, how can I take that as being an objection? You're not there.
Because
I'm
you-
asking-
Because you want a nice, quiet place for your tenants to live. Want a quality of life to give to your tenants, or they won't rent from you.
And if
Who
the
wants to
quality of
rent
life of a
next to a
tenant
bar?
wants to go to a bar,
A lot of these people bought before a proposal for a bar. A lot of people already rented in the building before they knew that there was a bar planned for right next door and across the street and further down. It's like all of a sudden you're blaming the victims,
not blaming anyone. I'm asking how many of them that wrote petitions or had protests live in the building.
Well, at least over 50%. I have to look at the.
So that was all I was asking.
Yeah, I'd have
Thank
to
you.
look, but there were over 200. And how many times do you get 200 protests for any application?
Can I say something, please? I did the video conference, I believe it was in September,
22nd.
and I brought up the fact that there's no parking for this bar. And I know, that was part of my dissertation. And then as soon as I was finished, council came on and said, oh, there's plenty of parking. There is absolutely no parking for that building. And we have been having more and more issues where people are parking on the public sidewalks and going into there. And I think it's because they're working on the building. And pedestrians can't even get into can't even walk down the sidewalk because their cars are parking. There is a large parking lot right across the street, but it's closed. I mean, it's not a public parking. The only people who can park there are people who have permits from businesses that where they work. So I just think it was really unfair that as soon as I said that there's no parking and it's going to cause problems, because we're already having to have cars towed off of our lot where people are illegally parking in our spots. And then as soon as I'm cut off, council comes on and says a blatant, flat out untruth that there is public parking, and there isn't. No, zero public parking. So I just think, that is one consideration that you have to take when people are going to come to the bar.
I believe I asked about parking. Ms. Shioka, would you like to address that?
Sure, thank you very much. We have never said that there were lots of parking. There's parking blocks away. There is ample parking blocks away. It is not convenient. It's not directly in front of the establishment. That's a closed lot. Please let me finish.
And I recall stating as well that I would like you folks to
Exactly.
notify your customers there is no parking,
I remember that.
and to make sure that they're not parking at the neighboring buildings and the residences.
It's true. And that has been made. Definitely, it's going to be part of what's going to be.
There are many bars in our city that do not have dedicated parking. And we ask about that, and it is better for them to have parking, but we cannot, it's not a statutory requirement for them to have parking.
Are they in basically a residential area, or are they more in a commercial area?
This is, Waikiki is a commercial area. So no, they have to pass zoning. So there are no bars in purely residential zoned areas. It meets zoning requirements because Waikiki is a commercial area. I think so too, and I'm going to abstain from this vote.
Is there a motion?
My motion will be to deny request number 23-01226.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to deny request number 23-01226. Any objections or reservations? We'll note that Commissioner Hong and myself are abstaining. Seeing as there are 3 votes in the affirmative, motion is carried, request is denied. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Mr. Nishioka. Calling agenda item number 14, request number 23-01298 from Christina O'Hara Esquire on behalf of Hawaii Ocean Adventures R Us LLC. Ms. O'Hara.
Good afternoon, commissioners. Just gonna take a moment, just like that it's a tough act to follow. I represent Hawaii Ocean Adventures R Us LLC, DBA Prince Kuhio Tours. I know you guys have received my letter, but our request is basically to have the opportunity to apply for a temporary license when the business shut down during COVID. It all occurred in such a way that the owner, wasn't able to submit within the 5 days of the surrender. And unfortunately, Lionel Sport Fishing no longer exists, and the boat exchanged hands. But ultimately now, my clients own it. They would love to revive the business. Unfortunately, somebody could be with me today because they are on a sunset cruise now, because this is right at that time.
Alcohol-free trust. alcohol-free, I trust.
Yes, yes, yes. There's no, not sunset booze cruise, I promise. Just whales and, sunset. But yes, we're hoping though to one day serve very classy and limited liquor offerings on the vessel. And we're hoping that we could apply for a temp just because the application process for the permanent is a little longer, and we were hoping to get started with that service sooner.
Okay, I see in your letter that the business was closed due to the pandemic. When did they close the business?
They closed, well, they had to shut down in March 2020, and because there wasn't any indications from the governor, when or how things would reopen, they did not renew. So the license just expired the following June, which was, just 3 months into it, right? And then my understanding is Lionel Sports Fishing closed later that year because he couldn't find anybody to, go out sports fishing.
Okay, so they've been out of business, what, 2 years?
Probably maybe like a year and a half.
Okay, and there was no interim owner, so they bought it from the owners that from Lionel Sport Fishing that held the license?
Yes, and they've been, as things have been reopening, they've been offering cruises, here and there. I think it just started off as like just charter. And then eventually now I think they have regular breakfast and sunset cruises, because those are the two most popular times of day apparently. And you can actually see it. I don't know if you go, down Ala Moana, but their boat, there's like a big sign that says Prince Pihio Tours. So they've been probably touring the past year, but it's only really ticked up, I would say, like the past 6 months, just given the market.
And they intend on running it similarly or the same as the previous licensee?
There probably won't be an emphasis on the sport fishing, also because I think the fishing industry is having its own issues at the moment. But the things that seem to be most appealing and generate business are the breakfast cruises, the sunset cruises, and the charters and the whale watching. So that's the primary focus. It is equipped for, it still has like the pole stands for the fishing. So if somebody wanted to private charter them for a fishing excursion, that would be possible.
With all of the vessel licenses, I have the same concern is how are you going to age verify? Because this can be very enticing to teenagers, young adults that are not 21 yet to go on a booze cruise, rent out a boat and with thinking that they're out on the ocean, so that they're not gonna, there's no way that they can get busted. How are you folks planning to avoid that?
Yeah, so there is going to be ID verification. Everybody is going to be trained and, all of that stuff. I would say the market for this particular boat, it tends to be 21 and older just because of the price point and things of that nature. But the owners are very sensitive to that sort of reputation. They don't want to necessarily have the reputation of some of the other boats in Waikiki. So they are very, they have a heightened awareness of that, and they are going to take steps to make sure that they collect IDs and, limit the amount of alcohol consumption and all those sorts of things so that they can have a controlled setting. Also, because you don't want to be out on a boat with a bunch of drunk people. That's very dangerous for, the crew and the patrons. So I think they want to make sure it's a very.
We want to make sure
that
that's not happening.
Yeah. Well, they also don't want, they wouldn't want the reputation of having lost somebody because they had too many drinks on their boat, because then probably no one would want to boat with them again.
So are staff gonna be doing double duty then? Because I know what it's like on a boat. You have a crew. So are crew gonna be serving and also working the boat, or are you gonna have dedicated staff to serve
No,
alcohol?
we would have separate dedicated staff for the alcohol. There is currently food, and that is separate staff from the crew.
Okay.
So we don't your boat captain is not going to be checking IDs and,
That was my concern.
Yeah.
That if we're gonna be going double, triple duty, I don't I don't think
No.
that's recommended. No. Okay. All right, commissioners.
So the only comment I'm going to make is, if this gets passed through as your request, right? When you do come with your temporary things, I would want to see a pretty good. Business plan on how you plan to run it, how many people you're looking to have in each area, how you plan to make sure those that are under 21 are not drinking, and those types of things.
Absolutely.
And my motion will be to approve request number 23-01298.
Second.
Then moved and seconded to approve request number 23-01298. Any objections or reservations? Hearing or seeing none, I also vote aye. Motion is carried. Request is approved. Thank you, Ms. O'Hara.
Thank you.
Yeah. Calling agenda item number 15. This is a review of Aloha Pronto Waikiki LLC DB Aloha Beer Downtown. Mr.
Good afternoon, Chair and Commissioner Ross Shinsato, authorized agent. To my right is Yusuke Ishikawa, member manager.
Thank you.
The extension area has been in use for daily use and for special events. We know of no incidents. Mr. Ishikawa can provide a list of special event dates.
Thank you for coming back. I think it was my request that we revisit this because at the time the initial probation period ended, there were no special events. That's my recollection. What's the biggest event we've had in terms of head count, approximate head count?
I would say about 100 people.
And then I work nearby. I noticed that there are planter boxes adjacent to the sidewalk. My recollection is the licensed premises is beyond that, or is that inaccurate?
No, it's contained within the.
Okay. And so for the 100 estimated head count event, did anybody pass the boundary, the planters enter the other private or public sidewalk areas?
No, not at all.
I think my concern was this one was besides what Commissioner Miyashiro talked about was people not using the crosswalks in that area and because your guys' place is right there in the middle and the crosswalks are kind of far on the side. Have you guys had any issue with people running across the street to get to the bar?
Not that I'm aware.
Please,
Yeah.
please be careful of that. That's a
Yeah.
busy, that's a really busy street right there.
Absolutely. We work very closely with the properties division at Central Pacific Bank.
Okay.
They manage all the security team there. So our team works very closely with the security team.
Terrific. I've heard only good things about it.
Thank you.
And the Waikiki location seems to be super busy.
It's
All right, terrific. I don't think any action is required.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, guys.
Thank you for coming in.
Right, commissioners, can I get a type of action for agenda item 16-24, please?
Motion for adoption of decision and order for agenda items 16-24 inclusive.
Second.
Then moved in second for the adoption of decision and order for agenda items 16-24 inclusive. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, I also vote aye. The adoption of decision and order is approved. Good afternoon, Mr. Nafsinger.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thomas Knapsiger, Deputy Corporation Counsel on behalf of the City and County of Honolulu.
Thank you. Calling agenda item 25, Asagio Inc. Hi, come on up. Afternoon, sir. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Terry Chang
Thanks.
for Asaji.
Okay, thank you. You miss it.
Can you read the charge, please?
On or about November 1st, 2021, licensee failed to timely submit the name of every person then employed on the licensed premise who is registered with the commission or who is subject to registration on the date and in such manner as directed by the commission in violation of Rule 3-82-38.8, the rules of the Liquor Commission of the City and County of Honolulu.
Mr. Chang, how would you like to plead?
Well, because on my record, if you can check, I always
I'm
report.
sorry, can I don't mean to interrupt, but we first need to take a plea.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry?
You need to plead to the charge. You can admit the
Okay,
charge.
okay,
plead.
because,
I'm sorry, you can admit the charge, you can deny the charge, or plead no contest. Those are your three plea options.
it's paying no contest.
Motion to accept the plea.
Second,
Then moved and seconded to accept the no contest plea for agenda item 25. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, I also vote aye. Motion is carried. The plea is accepted.
Mr. Chang, I'm sorry, you will have an opportunity to comment, explain, but procedurally, we first take a plea. The prosecutor is going to give us a recommendation and I'll ask you what your comments are, okay? Okay. Mr. Nafziger, what is your recommendation?
So again, this violation occurred on November 1st, 2021, when licensee failed to submit its annual employee listing. This is licensee's first violation. The recommended fine is $250.
Okay, Mr. Chang, you want to provide comments or explanation?
Well, the reason I didn't file the annual report for the employee is I haven't received the letter from the liquor commission, because every year, then we receive the letter.
Okay, I understand the letters of courtesy and to the licensees and that you still have an obligation to submit your documentation with or without the letter.
Right.
But you're
yeah.
saying this past or in 2021, is there any reason why you did not receive it as far as you know?
I had no idea. I thought maybe because of COVID-19, maybe, it looks up a little change and stuff.
Point of order, Ms. Wright, can you please confirm or clarify that notices were provided during COVID to licensees, including 2021?
I'm gonna confirm that they went out.
Okay.
I mean, with respect to the employee listings, they're on a staggered basis depending on the class of license. So they're not sent out in a big, one big mass mailing. There's a schedule where they're rolled out. But by the end of 2021, we were kind of somewhat back to business.
Okay, thank you.
Let me ask you this, Mr. Chang, this is the Asagio restaurant in Kailua, correct?
Yes, right.
That's been there a long time. Folks have been there, right? I was thinking probably over 20, but you're saying about 30 years.
Yeah, since 1991,
How long have you owned that place?
since the first week.
That's what I thought. Okay, and every year you receive the same notice and turn it in.
Yes.
I don't think I've even seen you in here once in the last 7 years I've been on the commission.
Oh, that's better.
Well, that's good. That means that you guys don't have violations. That's good. Do you have an email address that you receive
Yes.
emails from the commission?
Yes, even like last year, you could send me the email to reminding me for that annual report for the employee.
Okay,
Yeah, many, few times.
okay.
So,
Did
but
you
on
receive
the
it this year? Did you receive it when this one was missed?
No, this year I received it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I know I file it also, soon, I receive it, I file, the report.
Okay, and after you were made aware that you were late filing, did you turn it in right away?
No, because the inspector comes, give me the violation. I asked the gentleman. He say, oh, you don't have to do anything at this time, just wait for the notice.
Okay,
So I just wait.
okay.
Uh.
And did you submit an employee list or have you submitted one? Do we have one for you, a current employee list?
Yes, the recent 2022,
Mhm.
the one, yeah,
So
I
you're
just,
up to date then. We
right,
have
yes.
the current list of your
Yes,
registered employees.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Nafziger, any further comments from you?
I'll just note that in the report, it says that an employee from the Honolulu Liquor Commission made a call to Siri Kai and left a voicemail on October 13, 2021. And an email reminder was also sent to asagio808@yahoo.com.
Your email?
No, my email is terrychang55@yahoo.com.
I've heard enough from both sides. Thank you for your patience with us. Motion to issue a letter of reprimand for agenda item 25.
second,
Then moved and seconded to issue a letter of reprimand for agenda item 25. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, I also vote aye. A letter of reprimand will be issued. Thank you, Mr. Chang.
Thank you. So just really outside.
Oh, no, you're done. You're
Go
okay.
home.
Yeah, go home. Go back to work.
Okay.
Calling agenda item 26, Honolulu Golf Club.
My name is John Harmon. I'm the operations.
Good afternoon, Mr. Harmon.
Mr. Nestor, can you read the charge, please?
On or about June 18, 2022, in the city and county of Honolulu, state of Hawaii, licensee failed to make time record entries at the time its employee David Fukuhara reported on duty and again when the employee went off duty in violation of Rule 3-82-38.4 subsection B of the rules of the Liquor Commission of the city and county of Honolulu.
Mr. Harmon, how would you like to plead?
No contest.
Motion to accept the plea.
Second.
Then moved and seconded to accept the no contest plea for agenda item 26. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, I also vote aye. Motion is carried. The plea is accepted.
Mr. Nestor, what is your recommendation?
Again, this violation occurred on June 18, 2022, when licensee failed to make time record entries for its employee. This is licensee's first violation. The recommended fine is $250.
Mr. Harmon, any comment or explanation?
Yes, during COVID, we shut down, we reopened several times, tried to go back and forth and our process changed. And I think part of it is my cook, that's my cook. He didn't realize that by punching in, just checking in as his time clock. But then also my concern is he would not have known how to pull that out for the liquor commission to see that. So going forward, we have both. We punch into the time clock and we have a physical manual book. So, we're learning through the process and this is a good test for us as well. So we can't say that he was correct that he didn't have a physical documentation of signing in or signing out, but he physically didn't realize that by punching in, clocking in on the computer, that's how we use it.
Similar question Chairman asked of the car licensing. You folks have been in business for many, many, many years, right?
1898, the oldest golf course. We gotta be 125 years this year.
Wow.
Even a state land.
Yeah, it's a 9-hole golf course now.
Motion to issue a letter recommend for agenda item 26.
Second.
Then moved and seconded to issue a letter of reprimand for agenda item 26. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, I also vote aye. A letter of reprimand will be issued. Thank you, Mr. Harmon.
Thank you
Good
very
luck.
much for your volunteering time.
Calling agenda item 27, Hawaiian Island Bistro and Bar.
Michael Culinary. Sorry, how do you say your name? Thank you. Mr. Messenger, can you read the charge, please?
On or about November 1st, 2021, licensee failed to timely submit the name of every person then employed on the licensed premise who is registered with the commission or who is subject to registration on the date and in such manner as directed by the commission in violation of Rule 3-82-38.8 of the rules of the Liquor Commission of the city and county of Honolulu.
Mr. Culinary, how do you wish to plead? No contest. Motion to accept the plea.
Second.
And moved and seconded to accept the no contest plea for agenda item 27. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, I also vote aye. Motion is carried. The plea is accepted.
Mr. Messenger.
Again, this violation occurred on November 1st, 2021, when licensee failed to submit its annual employee listing. This is licensee's first violation. The recommended fine is $250.
Mr. Culinary, any comment or explanation?
No, sir.
Motion to approve the recommended fine of $250 for agenda item 27.
Second.
Then moved and seconded to approve the recommended fine of $250 for agenda item 27. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, I also vote aye. Motion is carried. The fine is approved. Thank you. Calling agenda item 28, Olive Garden. Mr. Nakoba.
Good afternoon, Chair, Commissioners. Representing Olive Garden. To my right is Shana Yamada, Yamada. She is the Vice President for Operations for Olive Garden.
Like you the charge?
Sure.
You read the
Oh,
charge?
actually. we'll give you no comment.
Okay, and you waive reading of the charge.
Yes.
Motion to accept the plea.
Second.
Then moved and seconded to accept the no contest plea for agenda item 28. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, I also vote aye. Motion is carried. The plea is accepted.
Mr. Messenger, what is your recommendation?
This violation occurred on November 30th, 2021, when licensee failed to submit its annual employee listing. This is licensee's first violation. The recommended fine is $250.
Thank you, Mr. Nichols. Thank you. Samara?
We did not also receive the letter, and we since then updated our address, not to the restaurant, but to the home office. So we can make sure that we follow up with them.
Received we were able to get the 2022 because somebody went to the mailbox and actually got it. And they said, oh my gosh, we have to send this in. So they sent it in, and then going forward, there were questions about why it was sent to this mailbox as opposed to the offices. So they immediately kind of changed that.
We emailed the commission
Yeah.
to update the address.
So going forward, are we going to that?
That's a local office.
A local office, but it's not the restaurant, it's the home office where all the paperwork should be going.
Thank you. Motion to issue a letter reprimand for agenda item 21.
Second,
Then moved and seconded to issue a letter of reprimand for agenda item 28. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, I also vote aye. Motion is carried. A letter of reprimand will be issued. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good luck.
Thanks. Calling agenda item 29, off the wall craft beer and wine.
Good afternoon, I'm Mark Taylor, the General Manager of Off the Wall Craft Beer and Wine.
Mr. Messenger, can you read the charge, please?
On or about July 29, 2022, in the city and county of Honolulu, state of Hawaii, licensee permitted within the licensed premises equipped with a bar, the preparation of drinks in such a manner that the same was not on the top surface of the bar, and in such a manner that the customer did not have a clear and unobstructed view of the bartender's operations, in violation of Rule 3-82-38.3 of the Rules of the Liquor Commission of the City and County of Honolulu.
Mr. Taylor, how would you like to plead?
No contest.
Motion to accept the plea.
second,
Then moved and seconded to accept the no contest plea for agenda item 29. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, I also vote aye. The plea is accepted.
Mr. Messenger, what is your recommendation?
Again, this violation occurred on July 29, 2022, when licensee permitted the preparation of drinks outside the view of customers. This is licensee's first violation. The recommended fine is $250.
Mr. Taylor, any comment or explanation?
Yeah, and I know ignorance isn't a excuse. I should have read the manual better, but the cocktails that we used were made from Bacardi and from Captain Morgan's. And so it was like a mojito, Mai Tai premix. So I purchased that from Southern and from RNDC, and we used that as the cocktail. So we weren't trying to like grift any customers or anything like that. I thought it was okay to buy pre.
Did you buy mixes and then mix it with the
No.
alcohol, or it was
It's
already
just-
pre-mixed?
Yeah,
in a
yeah, you
bottle?
get a case of it. Yeah, it's already got the liquor and the mix.
It was available via a licensed wholesaler?
Yeah. RNDC and Southern.
Messenger, any comment?
I have an invoice too.
I have nothing further to add.
Motion. Before I make my motion, I trust that you're gonna comply with the rules going forward. and-
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Motion to issue a letter reprimand for agenda item 29.
second,
Then moved and seconded to issue a letter of reprimand for agenda item 29. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, I also vote aye. Motion is carried. A letter of reprimand will be issued.
Thank you,
And
Commissioners.
thank you for coming down.
Okay, good afternoon.
Calling agenda item 30, Paisano at Waimalu LLC.
Hello. My name is Nila Ratanasamai. I represent Waimalu LLC.
Can you spell your name for our reporter, please?
NILA. Last name is RAPTANASAMAY.
Thank you.
You were gonna introduce the gentleman, city manager,
Gentleman is Billy, that's my husband.
same last name.
Same last.
Mr. Messenger, can you read the charge, please?
On or about November 30th, 2021, licensee failed to timely submit the name of every person then employed on the licensed premise who is registered with the commission or who is subject to registration on the date and in such manner as directed by the commission. in violation of Rule 3-82-38.8 of the rules of the Liquor Commission of the City and County of Honolulu.
Ms. Ratanasame, how we like to play? Motion to accept the plea.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to accept the no contest plea for agenda item 30. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, I also vote aye. The plea is accepted.
Mr. Messenger,
Again, this violation occurred on November 30th, 2021, when licensee failed to submit its annual employee listing. This is licensee's first violation. The recommended fine is $250.
Ratanasame, do you have any comment or explanation?
Yes, during that time, I did not receive the mail for the employee list. So I did not turn it in until the investigator give us citation on that day. So then I turned it in the next day.
Turn it in when you got the mail.
I did not receive it in, maybe, I don't know if lost in the mail or they send it to, yeah, I normally receive it. Or sometimes I get the reminder call, but I don't know during that year, I did not receive, I know unless they send it to different address or I mailed it lost or something.
I thought at first I heard you say you received the notice, but did not. send
No,
it.
no,
You did not. receive.
No, I did not receive with me, yeah, until I see that they come in that day to give me the citation. Yeah,
Thank you.
then then I turn it in the next day.
Okay. Mr. Messenger, any comments?
I have nothing.
Motion to issue a letter of reprimand for agenda item 30.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to issue a letter of reprimand for agenda item 30. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, I also vote aye. A letter of reprimand will be issued. Thank you.
Thank you.
Listen.
Calling agenda item 31, for Vietnam Inc. Have anyone appearing for Vietnam? Mr. Knapsinger, did you make contact with this licensee?
I spoke to somebody at the licensed premise who gave me a number to call for, I believe it was a manager named Judy. I left a voicemail on January 3rd and I never received a call back.
It's your pleasure.
At this time, we would request a default.
For the record, could we make calls for the licensee outside the hearing room? For the record, should reflect the calls review for the licensee, no response. Mr. Messenger, what is your recommendation for a monetary fine?
This violation occurred on November 30th, 2021, when licensee failed to submit its annual employee listing. This is licensee's first violation. The recommended fine is $250.
Make the motion for a judgment in the amount of $250 for agenda item 31.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to issue a default judgment in the amount of $250 for agenda item 31. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, I also vote aye. Motion is carried. A default judgment will be issued. Calling agenda item 32, the Other Side Diner.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Marty Simjian on behalf of the Other Side Diner.
Thank you.
Mr. Messenger, can you read the charge, please?
On or about November 30th, 2021, licensee failed to timely submit the name of every person then employed on the licensed premise who is registered with the commission or who is subject to registration on the date and in such manner as directed by the commission in violation of Rule 3-82-38.8 of the rules of the Liquor Commission of the City and County of Honolulu.
Simjian, how would you like to do?
No contest.
Motion to accept the plea.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to accept the no contest plea for agenda item 32. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, I also vote aye. Motion is carried. The no contest plea is accepted.
Mr. Messenger, what is your recommendation?
Again, this violation occurred on November 30th, 2021, when licensee failed to submit its annual employee listing. This is licensee's first violation. The recommended fine is $250.
Mr. Simjian, comments or explanation?
Yeah. I know last year I got the letters and I remembered I have an appointment in my phone from October 22nd. And I believe I dropped off the employee list for next door. Is my other license and the Other Side Diner at the same time. But I don't have any actual like solid records of it. I think I did, but I can't say I don't specifically remember. Like this year I got, because last year we got the letters in the mail. This year I didn't receive the letters in the mail, but the people in the office emailed them to me. And I scanned them and sent them in. Because last year when I made the appointment, that's when I learned you can take a picture, scan it, and you don't actually have to physically bring the letter in anymore.
When you say last year, referring to 2021.
Yeah, so the appointment was Friday, October 22nd, 2021. But that's all I have. And then I have like the reminder emails as well from around that time.
Any comment?
I'll just add that based on their report, it looks like an email reminder was sent on November 16, 2021, and no response was received.
Mr. St. John, you do recall turning in the list for next door.
Yeah,
It sounds to me like oversight or mistake.
I could have been. I thought I brought them in at the same time. But
Okay, thank you. Motion to issue a letter reprimand to agenda item 32.
Second.
Moved and seconded to issue a letter of reprimand for agenda item 32. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, I also vote aye. Motion is carried. A letter of reprimand will be issued.
thank you, Commissioner. Have a good afternoon.
Two. Calling agenda item 33, United Airlines United Club.
I am Ian Mullen, IANMULLEN.
Mr. Nasser, could you charge this?
On or about August 31st, 2022, licensee failed to timely submit the name of every person then employed on the licensed premise who is registered with the commission or who is subject to registration on the date and in such manner as directed by the commission in violation of Rule 3-82-38.8 of the rules of the Liquor Commission of the City and County of Honolulu.
Mr. Mullen, how would you like to plead?
No contest.
Motion to accept the plea.
Second.
Then moved and seconded to accept the no contest plea for agenda item 33. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, I also vote aye. Motion is carried. The plea is accepted.
Mr. Nasser.
Again, this violation occurred on August 31st, 2021, when licensee failed to submit its annual employee listing. This is the first violation. The recommended fine is $250.
Mr. Mullen, any comment, explanation?
United Airlines Club is kind of outsourced to the Sodexo Corporation, so we take responsibility for them as well. I'd like to pawn it off on them, but we have managed with them. They do have their lists, and I believe they have. I've seen them and they've emailed something in, but we are now managing them a little bit more directly with this type of process.
Did you do any inquiry in terms of why they might not have turned it in?
Post-COVID, when they shut down basically their entire operations at the airport, all restaurants, clubs, etc. And then upon the reinitiation of that, it was basically all new staff. So I think history for them was completely out the window and they just did not have a general understanding of some of the processes that they had to initiate on our behalf.
Just so I'm clear, so Dexo closed operations during COVID?
During all the clubs and all the restaurants at the airport at HNO.
So Nasser, any other comments?
I have nothing to add.
Motion to issue a letter of reprimand for agenda item 33.
Second.
Then moved and seconded to issue a letter of reprimand for agenda item 33. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, I also vote aye. Motion is carried. A letter of reprimand will be issued. Calling agenda item 34, United Airlines United Club. Mr. Mullen again, please.
What's your name again, just for the
Oh,
record?
gotcha. Ian Mullen, IANMULLEN.
Thank you, Mr. Messenger. Can you read the charge, please?
On or about June 29, 2020, in the city and county of Honolulu, state of Hawaii, licensee failed to notify the commission in writing of the name, age, and place of a residence of an officer or director to which Sherry Liu within 30 days from the date of election of such officer or director in violation of section 281-41 subsection I of the Hawaii revised statutes.
Mr. Mullen, how would you like?
No contest.
Motion to accept the plea.
Second.
Then moved and seconded to accept the no contest plea for agenda item 34. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, I also vote aye. The no contest plea is accepted.
Mr. Messenger.
Again, this violation occurred on June 29th, 2020, when licensee failed to notify the commission of a change in officers or directors. This is licensee's first violation. The recommended fine is $500.
Mr. Comment explanation on this matter.
Eventually it was sent in, it just was not within what I believe the 30-day guideline was. That's correct.
Is this something you folks delegated to Sodexo as well?
No, negative. It's from our tax accounting office at headquarters. I believe it was a bit of an overlap between when the CEO was exiting and it was kind of bringing on the new CEO, and the clear-cut definition of day one was probably not as broadcast as sort of a specific type of retirement, just because they did kind of co-CEO for a period of time.
Were you folks open in June of 2020?
The airport, but not the club.
The club was not.
Correct. It didn't open until November 17th of that year, I believe.
Motion to issue a letter of reprimand for agenda item 34.
Second,
The moved and seconded to issue a letter of reprimand for agenda item 34. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, I also vote aye. A letter of reprimand will be issued. Thank you, Mr. Mata.
Thank you all.
Thank you for
Appreciate
your
it.
patience. The item 35, Waikiki Food Hall Company. Waikiki Food Hall. Are you able to make contact with them, Mr. Nafziger?
Commissioners, I represent that, I contacted the phone number, for Waikiki Food Hall that I found online, on January 3rd. However, it said that the memory of their voicemail was full. I was unable to leave a message, and have not heard back since.
Okay, thank you. No response to a call.
Your pleasure.
We would request a default at this time for both charges.
What would your recommendation be?
For charge one, on November 30th, 2020, licensee failed to submit their annual employee listing. This is the first time violation. The recommended fine is $250. For charge two, on December 23rd, 2020, licensee failed to have a manager in active charge of the premises. This is licensee's first violation. The recommended fine is $500.
I have a question. Do we know if their license is even still in effect, or is it? Because I don't even know, I mean, I know there's businesses in that Waikiki Food Hall that are running, but I don't even know, because they closed. I mean, all of them closed during the COVID time. I just don't know if it's the same people running those businesses.
Yeah, I do recall they did shut
They're
down.
open.
The Yelp patrol.
They're open.
They're open.
But the license, so the license has never changed, it never lapsed, and they never put it in safekeeping. Okay.
Motion to approve the request for default judgment in the amount of $250 for charge one and $500 for charge two for agenda item 35.
Second,
The moved and seconded to issue a default judgment for agenda item 35, totaling $750 for two charges. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, I also vote aye. Motion is carried. A default judgment will be issued.
Just for the record, 3 calls were made by our staff in response by the licensee. Thank you.
Calling agenda item 36, Board Riders Bar and Grill.
Hello, James Mansell, Board Riders Bar and Grill member.
Here, can you read the charge, please?
On or about April 30th, 2021, in the city and county of Honolulu, state of Hawaii, licensee failed to comply with laws applicable to the business of licensee, whether it in existence at the time of issue of such license or enacted or amended from time to time thereafter, to wit, emergency order 2021-04, COVID-19 novel coronavirus, Honolulu's COVID-19 recovery framework, second amended order implementing tier 3 dated March 24, 2021, in violation of section 281-38 of the Hawaii revised statutes.
Mr. Mansell, how would you like to? plead?
Not guilty.
So what we're gonna do is set this matter for a contested hearing. I'm gonna go over some procedural rules, just to make sure you understand what to expect when you do come back. Okay? If you pled not guilty and wish to return for a contested hearing, there are a few procedures the commission requires you to follow. You don't need to write anything down, you get a letter. First, 7 days before the contested hearing, both the prosecution and the licensee must disclose to each other proposed exhibits. Exhibits that are not timely disclosed may not be considered. Second, the parties must disclose to each other the names of all witnesses and propose testimony of each witness 7 days before the contested hearing. Witnesses that are not timely disclosed may not be allowed to testify at the hearing. Third, each party's exhibits must be uploaded to the Liquor Commission's Google Drive by 4:00 p.m. on the Wednesday before the contested hearing. If you have physical evidence that cannot be uploaded to the Google Drive, please be sure to let both the LIQ Commission and the other party. As a reminder to each party, personal information such as medical information, social security numbers, birth dates, or bank account numbers must be redacted by the party whose exhibit contains that information. Mr. Mansell, do you have any questions regarding the procedure?
Yes.
Mr. Messenger, any questions? Okay, so let's continue agenda item 36, the next available hearing date for contested hearing. You'll get a notice on that particular matter, but I understand that one.
All right, calling agenda item 37, Board Riders Bar and Grill.
You can state your name again for the record.
James
sir.
Mansell.
Mr. Messenger, can you read the charge, please?
On or about July 23, 2020, in the city and county of Honolulu, state of Hawaii, licensee failed to comply with laws applicable to the business of licensee, whether in existence at the time of issue of such license or enacted or amended from time to time thereafter, to wit, violating the terms of the order of the office of the mayor of the city and county of Honolulu, emergency order 2020-19, COVID-19 novel coronavirus, second amendment to Honolulu 4.0 dated July 14, 2020, in violation of section 281-38 of the Hawaii revised statutes.
Is that how you like to plead?
No contest.
Motion to accept the plea.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to accept the no contest plea for agenda item 37. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, I also vote aye. The plea is accepted.
Mr. Messenger, what is your recommendation?
This violation occurred on July 23, 2020, when licensee violated COVID orders by having liquor readily available after midnight at approximately 12:30 a.m. This is licensee's second violation. The recommended fine is $750. The first violation occurred on January 26, 2018, which resulted in a written reprimand.
2018.
Correct. It was for, it wasn't for the coronavirus one. It was another 281-38 violation. However, I do not have in front of me what the details of that were.
Clearly not a COVID violation.
No, that is
Okay.
correct.
Thank you. If this was a first violation for COVID, what's your recommendation?
The recommendation would be 500 at that.
Thank you, Mr. Menzel. Comments or explanation?
Yeah, the 218 was dropped. But this violation, I guess the last violation we had was for $250 dealing with, I think that was in 2014. Prior to that, we had one in 2006. This case here, I was going to contest this because she said she had gotten everything up. I noticed there was 10 other people in the bar. I have a camera. The report kind of justifies it. So all 10 of those people were up. One person was sitting at the bar that still had one beer, like half, 3/4 of a beer, which they came and got. I thought she was doing everything right. I told her she had to. I watched my camera like a hawk at that time, especially what was going on. And I find out just a little while ago that was her sister-in-law. So I guess she let her just finish her drink after 12 o'clock when we were supposed to stop. It was a week after he gave the 12 o'clock order. So I apologize. I had to keep up. She's no longer working right there, but she does work at my other location for my show girl. So he messed up. So I'm sorry. Get better at that.
Mr. Nestor, any comment?
Nothing further.
Motion to issue a fine of $500 for agenda item 37.
Second.
Then moved and seconded to issue a fine of $500 for agenda item 37. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, I also vote aye. Motion is carried. A $500 fine will be issued. Thank you, Mr. Mansell.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
You'll be gone.
Couple of us.
That's me.
Good luck.
Calling agenda item 38. This is Liquor Commission business, selection of the Honolulu Liquor Commission Administrator. Commissioners have been provided with a letter that was sent to me from Mayor Blangiardi regarding the two finalists that were sent to him. So that's available for you folks to review. Of course, as he states in his letter, the decision of hiring is completely up to the commission. So his letter is simply advisory.
Sure, I notice agenda item 39 indicates executive session if needed. I don't think we need one.
Yes, of course. we
Can I
can
say
take a
something
short-
that?
Yes,
just
of course.
For the record, right? Prospective new commissioners, I'm not commissioners, but from the perspective of a new commissioner, the applicants seem, well qualified, the top two. I had a chance to go through and talk with the references, and they all came back stellar. The thing that was really concerning for me was that the process seemed both opaque and a bit rushed. And I think that was something that the Stakeholder person was kind of mentioning. And I think that's something that we, as a commission need to get better at. And the process basically was lacking the kind of basics of being able to make an informed decision. And so, I had an opportunity to talk to the applicants for 15 minutes for 3 questions spread amongst 2 commissioners and just myself and one other. And the purpose of that was to stay in compliance of the Sunshine Law, which seems very ironic that that's the way that we would conduct the search for such an important position. And so if the vote out of this is that we don't come up with an administrator, it's in no way a reflection on the qualities of the applicants. It's more so that I personally have some concerns that we did our due diligence, but perhaps as we go into executive session, we can kind of go through those issues.
Just for the record, Commissioner Hall, I did not ask to go in executive session.
Oh.
But I do want to respond to a couple of your points. One, I agree with you fully that we were rushed through this process. And that's by virtue of a resolution our city council put out to have us respond to certain things that would be fundamentally unfair for our acting administrator to respond to. And so that was driven in large part, if not entirely, by the resolution. Having said that, I disagree with you respectfully in terms of the ability to receive information, digest information, and vet what I believe to be 4 qualified, competent applicants. Other than that, I agree with everything that you said.
I would like to agree as well that I only today do I feel like I'm able to make a decision. Before this time, I didn't feel like I would be able to. It felt rushed out of necessity. From what Commissioner Miyashiro said. And I would have liked to have the process be a little bit more slowed down and due diligence done a little bit more intentionally. But I understand the process with the resolution speeding things up in a manner that might have been irregular.
Commissioner Hall, do you want to convene into executive session? We have that option. Yeah.
I would like to take that opportunity.
Do I need to call the agenda item?
Yes, so why don't we table 38 and move to 39?
Yes, calling agenda item 39 is liquor commission business. Executive session to consider the hire, evaluation, dismissal, or discipline of an officer or employee where consideration of matters affecting privacy may be involved pursuant to HRS section 92-5 subsection A2.
Second.
Oh, no, I didn't make the motion. I was just listing the agenda.
Sorry. Let me make the formal motion. Motion to convene into executive session to consult with the board's attorney on questions and issues on the matters pertaining to the board's powers, duties, privileges, and that. Strike that. Let me say a second motion. My motion is to convene into executive session to consider the hire, evaluation, dismissal, or discipline of an officer or employee where considered matters affecting privacy may be involved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to convene into executive session for the purpose stated in Commissioner Miyashiro's motion. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, I also vote aye. We are now in executive session. We are now back on the official record. Thank you for giving us that time for the executive session. I would just like to make note 2 items for the record. Number 1, Mr. David Roy withdrew his application for consideration this morning at around 11 a.m. I received that email just before I looked at that email just before I came here. So we will have his I guess notification of his withdrawal and on the official record. So that being said, we are now only considering Mr. Emmanuel Zibakalam for the position of Honolulu Liquor Commission Administrator. The second thing to note is that I received a letter from Mayor Blangiardi yesterday, and that has been provided to the other commissioners. In that letter, he recommends the selection of Mr. Emmanuel Zibakalam to this position. As I noted previously, his is just an advisory role, and he does not make the final decision as to who is hired for this position. So that being said, the question of whether to hire Mr. Emmanuel Zibakalam for the position of Honolulu Liquor Commission Administrator is now on the floor.
Chair, before a motion is made on the selection process, I do want to make a comment on the record or reiterate what I said just before we convened to executive session. And that is that we did receive 4 duly qualified applicants. I believe the 2 finalists, including Mr. Roy, stood head and shoulders above the other 2. And it was a tough decision in my mind in terms of Mr. Zibakalam or Mr. Roy. They both had different strengths that they could bring to this administration. Having said that, I do believe Mr. Zibakalam stands ahead of Mr. Roy, notwithstanding Mr. Roy's withdrawal.
I would like to comment that I was very impressed with all the candidates. I was extremely impressed with Mr. Roy. He is very qualified. His extensive experience at the U.S. Attorney's Office. I'm disappointed that he withdrew, but I understand that he doesn't want to be considered anymore, and that's his prerogative.
I would just concur with the comments of Commissioner Miyashiro.
And so I will concur, with all of the commissioners' previous comments. Mr. Roy was, all 4 candidates were exceptional. I believe our final 2 finalists were way above exceptional. I think either one of them could have done the job. With Mr. Roy deciding to withdraw his application, my motion will be to select Mr. Emmanuel Zibakalam as the next Honolulu Liquor Commission Administrator.
A strong second.
It's been moved and seconded to select Mr. Emmanuel Zibakalam as the Honolulu Liquor Commission Administrator. Are there any objections or reservations? Hearing none, I also vote aye. The vote is unanimous and carried. Motion is carried. Mr. Zibakalam has now been selected as the Honolulu Liquor Commission Administrator. Thank you, commissioners. All right, moving on to agenda item 40. This is the election of a new chairperson. As you folks all know, today is my last meeting. I submitted my letter of resignation effective tomorrow to the mayor today. And I would just like to thank everyone here at the commission, especially Ms. Anna Harai, for the time that I've been here. You've been the most supportive. I've learned so much from you, and I wish you the best of luck. And I hope Mr. Zibakalam treats you well. Yeah.
Or else.
And for the rest of the staff at the Liquor Commission and my fellow commissioners, thank you so much for all of your support and camaraderie. And I'm moving to Maui, so look me up if you're ever in the area.
We're certainly going to miss your guidance and good judgment and great memory of licensees who come before us in the past 8 years. So thank you for your service, your voluntary service. I'm thoroughly impressed that you have the resilience to withstand a lot of aspersions cast by certain members of the public, including applicants or objecting parties and so forth. So I thank you for your contribution and things that we've learned from you. Having said that, I don't mean to disabuse anyone from making comments for our soon to be departing chair. I am not eligible to be the chair. I'm technically a holdover. I'm here 2023 when I was done last year. I will continue to come as my schedule allows, but I do not think it's appropriate for me to be the chair.
Okay, so Commissioner Miyashiro is taking his name out of the consideration. So is there anyone else that would like to step forward to be chair, or is there anyone who would like to nominate a chair?
I will nominate Seth as our new chair.
Chose a good day to lose my voice, I guess.
So you can't object, is that what you're saying? Don't object?
Don't you get a second?
All right, do we have a second?
If we don't have a second, we can put another motion and take it.
Yes.
I don't know if we'll have another motion, right? There's only three of us, right? And you can't really motion for yourself, right? So I mean, but I understand. I'll second Seth's nomination.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to elect Commissioner Seth Buckley as the chair of the Honolulu Liquor Commission. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion is carried. Mr. Buckley, you are the new chair of the Honolulu Liquor Commission. And let's see, calling agenda item 41, Mr. Wright, do we have anything in addition to the weekly report?
No, which I apparently circulated more broadly than I intended. That was my fault.
That's okay.
But everyone, I think they thought I did it to be like, all warm and fuzzy. They should know me better than that. But I don't have anything further.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Harai. And with that, we are adjourned.